Hey there, welcome to another edition of Snubbed. This one is number 20. This is for the 1945 Oscar nominee year. It would have taken place in 1946. And so, once again, a reminder: this is a movie that some may have considered to have been snubbed from Best Picture from the 1945 nominees. The movie this time was Brief Encounter, and this was available on HBO Max, so it was free. And I forgot to say, I'm recording on Valentine's Day, 2026, and I watched the movie this morning. Once again, couldn't sleep. Got up at 5:30 ish. Got out of bed at 6:30 ish. Watched the movie. So here we go. Brief Encounter is a 1945 British romantic tragedy film directed by David Lean from a screenplay by Noel Coward, based on his 1936 one-act play Still Life. The film stars Celia Johnson and Trevor Howard in lead roles, alongside Stanley Holloway, Joyce Carey, Cyril Raymond, Everly Gregg, and Margaret Barton. Brief Encounter tells the story of two married strangers living in pre-World War II England, whose chance meeting at a railway station leads to a brief yet intense emotional affair disrupting their otherwise conventional lives. Produced by Noel Coward, Anthony Havelock Allen, Ronald Neame, cinematography Robert Krasker, edited by Jack Harris, music by Sergei Rachmaninoff, distributed by Eagle Lion Distributors, released November 26, 1945 in London, with a runtime of 87 minutes. This was nominated for 3 Academy Awards: Best Director for David Lean, Best Actress for Celia Johnson, and Best Screenplay. Did not win any of those, and it was not nominated for Best Picture. So again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, in case this is the first time you're joining the podcast. Well, a few things. One, these snubbed movies are compiled. I compiled a list from 2 different lists of movies that people consider snubbed from the Best Picture Oscar. So thus far, it's just been basically one movie a year. When I watched Bride of Frankenstein, I did also watch Frankenstein and just threw that in, even though it was for different years. And coming up, starting with 1947, there are years where there are multiple movies. Sometimes, like 1973, I have 6 movies that I added to this list. And basically what I did was I took a list that said that, this is 100 movies that were snubbed from Best Picture. And the problem with that list was they had too many movies from the same year. So it was 100 movies, but it didn't cover like the span of the Oscars. I found another list that was basically covered every year of the Oscars and movies that people thought were snubbed. And what I did was I just kind of picked and chose, okay, well, for 1950, Rashomon's on there. I've seen it, but I want to watch it again, so I'll put that on there. 1951, there were 3 movies: The African Queen, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and Strangers on a Train. I've never seen those. I want to watch them, so I'll watch all 3. So some years have 1, some have more. And for the years that have more, I'm going to split them up. I think I'll do 2 movies in one podcast. So that's the first part of it. The second part is, what does snubbed mean how am I defining snubbed? Well, there's 2 ways it could be snubbed. One, it could be that it was nominated for Best Picture and it didn't win. My go-to example for that is Shakespeare in Love and Saving Private Ryan. To me, Saving Private Ryan is the better movie. I also liked Shakespeare in Love. Shakespeare in Love won, but I don't think it should have. So I think that Saving Private Ryan was snubbed. But in another year, maybe a movie didn't get nominated for Best Picture at all, which, when it's only 5 movies, it's a little bit of a tougher race. The movies more easily get snubbed now that they allow 10, and way back when they used to allow 10 or more. A lot of movies got in that, like this year's Oscars, F1 is in there. I loved F1. It was a great movie. It was fun. I didn't really go into it expecting much. Would I have ever considered it for Best Picture? No, I would not. So, maybe something else got snubbed that should have taken the F1 spot. But anyway, that's my definition. These movies are movies that were not nominated for Best Picture at all. the debate about whether a movie should have won that was nominated can be taken on in the regular podcast. But these episodes, just movies that weren't nominated. I like this movie. It was pretty good. It was a little dry. It's British. It was a little dry, but it was short. It dragged in a couple places. Maybe it was only 87 minutes though, so it was fine. But this movie had some real like character development and growth with this couple specifically, and the woman for the most part was her telling this story. She was narrating the movie and to her husband, but in the end, she's not really narrating. It's like all in her head, but she was kind of narrating to him. She was very good, and she's really like the movie leans on her. So not surprised she got nominated for best actress. So it was very good. Was it snubbed? I kind of think yeah, because so the movies that it would have been up against were The Lost Weekend, which won, Anchors Away, Mildred Pierce, Spellbound, and The Bells of St. Mary's. Now, Spellbound, I gave 2.5 stars, and The Bells of St. Mary's, I gave 2 stars. Forget what history may tell you. The Bells of St. Mary's is not a great movie. It was fine. Was it even fine? I don't know. It was a sequel to the previous year's winner, Going My Way, with Bing Crosby reprising his priest character, Father O'Malley or whatever the hell it was from the first one. But it was so like sickeningly sweet, and the characters were just, fake. And like I said, in this movie, Brief Encounter, the characters actually developed in my eyes over the course of the movie. And in Bells of St. Mary's, there was no development whatsoever. So I would definitely Spellbound. I don't think was as quite as bad. I can't quite remember everything about that one, but I would replace the Bells of St. Mary's with Brief Encounter. Now, that said, I'm sure that it's possible that there's a dozen other movies that also could have been snubbed and could have taken the place of the Bells of St. Mary's or Spellbound. But I only watched Brief Encounter, so I'm just going to go with that one and say that yeah, I do think this one should have been one of the nominees as opposed to the Bells of St. Mary's. And that's where I stand. Take that, Bing Crosby. Bing. So, yeah, I'll just leave it there. Probably went on a little longer than I needed to, but definitely think this one could have been nominated. Probably wouldn't have won. Lost Weekend probably still would have beat it, but, the nomination would have been nice. So that's it. I will see you next time for the 1946 Oscar nominees.